What's up YouTube, I'm Guy, and today I felt like it's time to talk about watch snobs. It's not exactly the topic you might think, however. I'm not only talking about the type of watch snob we all think about when we hear the word, and yes, we will address them as well, but there's another type of watch snob I want to discuss, the reverse watch snob. It's a concept that my friend and fellow YouTube creator AB from Watch Collecting Strategy brought to my attention a while ago, and I think that it's a really interesting perspective. We had a conversation about it, and I wanted to share some of the thoughts that we had on the topic. To start, what is a watch snob? Most of us, I think, probably think that a watch snob is someone who belittles and denigrates anyone who owns watches that they view as being beneath a certain level of stature. More specifically, a watch snob typically looks down on watches below a certain price, regardless of the quality of construction or the design of said timepiece. This is obviously a closed-minded, superficial way to view the world. It speaks to the character of the person acting this way, and overall, it's just plain shitty. Everyone has different tastes and interests, different financial situations, and a different preference when it comes to watches, and there's no good reason to pass this sort of sanctimonious judgment on the choices of others. But as our friend AB pointed out, this pendulum does swing both ways, and it was an eye-opening realization when we discussed it. So, what about the reverse watch snob? Well, that's a person that pretty much has the same attitude as the standard watch snob, but they typically pass judgment on people who own and enjoy higher-end luxury watches. They'll insult and ridicule people who, quote-unquote, waste money on watches that clearly aren't worth it. The reverse watch snob likes to project an image of moral superiority because they're smart enough to recognize the foolishness of buying and owning luxury timepieces. As with the perspective of the watch snob, this line of thinking is horribly flawed. And when both of these ideologies clash in the ether of the online watch collecting community, it tends to spoil and ruin the enjoyment for everyone else. Now, it's easy to understand the quote-unquote watch snob. Their perspective is often rooted in narcissism and with being completely out of touch with reality. We see people outside of the watch collecting world that exhibit the same close-minded and superficial traits, so it's really no surprise to see that mentality seep into this hobby as well. There's not a lot more to say about the topic, it's pervasive and it's everywhere. The interesting topic, or concept, is the idea of the reverse watch snob. Why do they exist? Why are they so common in this hobby specifically? I think a lot of people will say that the reverse watch snob is just jealous, and there's probably a modicum of truth to that, at least in some cases. But I don't think that sums it up for all or even the majority of cases. In my opinion, it comes from the person's feeling of being backed into a corner and wanting to lash out or retaliate against the perceived unfairness that they feel that they're treated with. See, when a person who's doing the best they can decides to spend their hard-earned money on a watch that costs $200, $300, or even $500, they're also invested into that watch on a personal and emotional level. There's a sense of pride of ownership at all levels of this hobby, and unfortunately, very often, it's spoiled by other people calling the watch that they enjoy a quote-unquote shitter. However, in my opinion, that isn't a valid excuse to turn and treat other people poorly. There's another aspect of collecting that I see a lot, be it with watches or any other item for that matter, in that people become brand myopic. They see their chosen brand as the best choice for whatever reason, and again, they become personally invested in that decision. To criticize the brand of their choice is in their mind to criticize them directly. It's taken as a personal affront to question their decisions on any level and for any reason. This, of course, leads down the path towards more toxicity and breeds brand snobbery. People are largely incapable of accepting that the way that they think might be wrong, and to be questioned on it is treated as a personal attack. The bigger problem is that instead of defending their position directly, or better yet, just not worrying about the criticism and moving on with life, they often choose to go on the offensive and they attack the group that they perceive as the enemy. The polarization of these groups lends itself to creating an unpleasant environment for pretty much everybody else in the middle, just here to share their interests with what otherwise is a fairly nice community. Now, from my own personal perspective, being a content creator on YouTube, the entire situation can be totally draining. When I do a watch review, whether it's a $500 watch or a $50,000 watch, I never sugarcoat my opinions. I tell the viewer what I like and what I don't like. The thing is that unless I'm quoting some specifications about the watch specifically, what I'm sharing is just that. It's my opinion. Many people don't seem to understand that as a reviewer, I'm providing a critique of a product based on my personal perspective. And being as I've never seen anything that I'd consider remotely close to a 100% flawless and perfectly executed watch, I've always got someone with their panties in a bunch and ready to go to war with me over any negative thing I say, or ironically, positive things that I might say about something they don't like. So what's worse, the watch snob or the reverse watch snob? In reality, it's two sides of the same coin, and both people are horribly misguided, short-sighted, and frankly, both types of people need to do a little self-evaluation. If you're the type of person that gets so heavily invested in what watches other people like to the point that you have to act like an anonymous internet tough guy, I'm pretty sure the problem lies entirely within yourself. I know, it's the internet and it's a cesspool breeding ground for this sort of thing. What should I expect? I don't really expect anything. I just thought I'd share some thoughts on the topic and make a suggestion. Let's all try to be a little kinder to one another. It's a lot easier, and in the end, it's probably a lot healthier. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap this video up for today. As always, thanks for tuning in and checking out the video. I certainly do hope that you enjoyed it. Now, if you'd like to help me out, and if you'd like to support what I'm doing here on YouTube, check out the video description. There's gonna be links to Patreon, social media, and of course, my Amazon affiliate links. Thanks to everyone that has been supporting me on Patreon and everyone that's been using my Amazon affiliate link when you shop on Amazon. Those commissions do add up and they do help me out. I really appreciate it. With that said, I'll go ahead, sign off, and say bye now.